Today we're gonna talk about how we communicate lah.
You're listening to
Jom Sembang Malaysia. So Raju, you know what I want to talk about this? How we communicate, right? Because I find that a lot of people have this idea of like, because we work closely together, you and I.
Yeah.
And then we have different projects, not just one project.
Yes.
So people always thought that we meet often, we talk on the phone often, or we chat a lot often. And I realized that it's almost none of the above kind of thing. Because I think the beginning of our partnership was really based on the text.
Correct.
I feel like we can spend like a whole week not talking and then we just texting. And that leads to the conversation today, which is, are you a text or verbal communicator?
What do you think?
Text law. But why? Why? I mean, I'm curious what would be your reason. Actually, I've never taken note how much texting you do. Or we do. Until I compare it with my other project partners. Like if my other project partners, we still like pick up phone and say, okay, this. What about this? This done.
Yeah.
But with Drita, it's like, how come the discussion never end or it's so long? And it's because, right, we're typing this text that is like quite annoying lah for me actually.
Okay. Why? I think, okay, for me, I work better with text or written. Actually, so do you, right? You always write written more than verbal. But yeah, because I am introvert, and I process a lot of things inside my head, and it takes a lot of time to
write that
verbalize,
text.
Correct lah. To see, even now, right, I'm thinking, right, it takes some time for it to come out, right? Because it takes time to process before it gets formed into words. So I notice in meetings, like if you notice, I'm usually kind of quiet during meetings.
Because she's processing.
Because I'm processing. Unless it's something that I've already formed a judgment about, or I've already formed an opinion about, or I'm absolutely sure about. Otherwise, I'm actually very quiet.
Yeah. So actually for me it was like, I prefer text, yes. But if the project is something big or that requires something beyond text, I normally call.
Yeah.
Because texting has a few disadvantages for me lah. I could be texting like this and you could be reading something else.
Correct, of course. And then the tone as well, right? I mean, now with emojis, it helps, but actually, half
Yes
the
and
time
no
you're
lor.
putting an emoji which is not on your face.
Correct.
Correct not?
Correct. So you also put like, and then it's to soften the blow or something. And then some more now emoji, not just Mali, no. Emoji got all sorts. You need to go like, is it annoyed? Is it winking? Is it...
It takes a very long time to go find the correct emoji.
Yeah, and then you need, if you're going to the extreme, right, you can put the emoji into Google and search what emotion is this. You know, because half the time I look at it and I'm like, I don't know whether she's annoyed or not. But I think that text was what I started with when it's normally the beginning of a project. Like, or maybe the smaller stuff of project. For example, hey, this one go ahead or not? You know? But if the, hey, this one go ahead or not requires me to tell you the backstory and everything else, and then if the backstory can finish 3 sentences, okay lah.
Correct.
If the backstory is 3 paragraphs, then I'd be like, I'm not typing this thesis.
No, I think conversations work better as well. Like if it's, you need to dialogue about it or talk about it, discuss a lot faster lah. On the flip side, you may not remember lah. That's okay lah. Now you have AI and Zoom, you can like record the text and everything. I mean, not the text, but you can record it in text form, what was talked about. So I found myself, because my memory is not that good, and I find that nowadays when I'm on the phone, it's very hard to take notes because your hand, unless I put earphones or whatever, then I have a hand lah to write notes. Sometimes after the phone call, and if I don't note it down immediately, by the next day or somebody else calls you after that, it's gone, no, then I can't remember what was the conversation anymore. So sometimes, some things I also prefer text lah. So
I think now I prefer doing both lah. Especially if things that, because I find that some things, especially after the pandemic lah, everyone wants it chop, fast, and you know, everything's moving so drastically. Yet at the same time, because it's too fast, it always seems to take 2 steps backward after that.
Right.
Okay, so I always find that I need to go and like, okay, clarify what's happening or line out the communication path. And then normally it's after talking that I will send a summary of, like a text summary. It says, oh, this is what we agreed upon, blah, 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 do what, and done. I find that text is no longer sufficient currently lah. Well, number one is because people don't read long emails. they read
Yes,
WhatsApp.
true.
And then WhatsApp become longer, then people also don't read. Then, or people just read certain things that they want to read
True.
and it skip. And then after that you go like, hey, but I said it at the top. Then it creates a lot of friction, kinda, I think.
Yeah, and it's like I already took all the time to write this down clearly already. And then after that, the next moment you're asking me, and then this one, you're like, cannot read or what? right?
Yeah, something like that lah. Because we tend to, in this fast-paced world, we might skip one or two bubble or just like skip or just overlook.
We scan lah. We will scan the thing and like speed read.
Correct.
And miss some info that we think is not important.
Correct. Which is why I think, for me now it's a mixture of both ways lah. But not to say it's a good or bad thing. I just find that certain long things should not be texted. Because no matter, number one, is straining to read.
Correct.
Number two, there's misunderstanding risk
Correct.
there.
Yeah.
And number three, you can never text everything like properly once. So sometimes you send a long text, you think you cover everything. And then when the person asks one question, you say, I should have explained that one first, then that one. Then it feels for me stressful is one thing. Waste of time.
Yeah.
Because like if I call you, I settle in 3 minutes. If I text that stupid thing and then you text me and then you text me, half an hour later, we are still at that topic that could have been resolved in 3 minutes.
True. Yeah, so some things, I think nowadays, I don't know why not earlier, but nowadays I will actually, if somebody's texting lah and then something I feel like, this one too chong hei to reply lah. Then I'm like, can call not? You're free to talk not? Then we'll do that lah. I mean, there's two sides of the coin, right? If you are already discussing something, there are a few factors lah. Is it something that, if you can talk, then talk would be easier. But maybe sometimes you are not you don't have the privacy to talk about it.
Okay.
Then sometimes that happens to me. I don't have the privacy to talk about. Even work, right? Sometimes you just need that space and quiet. And you don't want somebody to be sitting next to you and they cannot. Very hard. And then on the other hand, it's also like, just now we said we're already talking about it. So we're already both in that same mental space. I don't like phone calls, right? We've talked about this before, I think.
Correct.
So the other thing is like, if people want to talk shop, talk work, and then suddenly they call, it disturbs my brain as well. So if you talked about, am I a verbal communicator, text communicator in that sense, then
maybe you just need to set appointment for your verbal
text
communication.
first. Maybe.
But I think one of the questions that I wanted to ask today is, can we really rely on texting communication, just texting for official matters? Texting include emails lah. What do you think? Can we rely solely on that? It's only because I have this experience, I find that a lot of corporates nowadays, they try to like, there's two sides of things.
Okay.
There's one side that is like, I will send email and die won't WhatsApp you. And the email is like one sentence. Hi, can we meet at 3?
Yeah.
And then
so
by
annoying.
the time you check email, it's 4. Then like, you keep missing each other because it's some emails that you might not check all the time. Which I find that I wouldn't mind that kind of communication in terms of checking for appointments to be on my phone.
Short text lah. That's how SMS started lah.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then there are clients who like totally don't use email one. They send you everything on the WhatsApp. Like, this is the brief on WhatsApp. Everything is on WhatsApp. And then they have this thing where it disappears after 7 days.
Yes.
It really ruins the entire working process, I feel lah. But it's interesting because I find the younger generation, as in maybe the Gen Zs, actually prefer to keep everything on their emails and not on their WhatsApp.
Because they have space.
Correct. Why I say this is because I went to this meeting. There was the senior manager, which is probably a millennial or something like that. And then there is this young intern who is like Gen Z. And they're like, okay, what's your preferred communication, blah, 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 blah. And this manager went, if you want to talk to her, the intern, right, everything's on email only.
Okay.
She will check her email promptly. During working hours, you will get it.
Yeah.
After working hours, you won't get it. So if you need something out of working hours, text me because I don't read emails one. I just WhatsApp. The manager is basically,
the manager lah.
I'm a WhatsApp person. The girl is an email person. That's how they communicate and they say it straight to my face.
And how does the girl, how does the Gen Z communicate with the millennial then?
So basically,
because they're both using different.
So basically,
platforms.
the Gen Z was just said, okay, you can contact me during office hour. If you WhatsApp me, it might be slower than my email.
Okay, so I've experienced the same thing. We have in our NGO, one of the new staff has specifically said, exactly the same thing. Get me email for work-related stuff lah. So I know if it's like, casual stuff, then okay, I can put on the WhatsApp. But if it's work-related and I need something done, it's got to be via email. I think that is good in a way because it keeps you focus on the job lah. If I'm at my computer, I can work. At my desktop, I'm at my workplace. I
Correct.
reply everything. But if I'm out, I'm in the toilet, I go to have lunch. I have no access to that and I don't want to have access to that and I keep it all during those working hours. I think that's very healthy. I think the other thing that helps me do is if I need something urgently that is short and I don't really want to type out in an email,
Hi,
I
can
will
we do
pick up
this?
the phone and call.
Yeah.
And that has helped me. So I'm like, half the time I don't know the phone number. I have to go and Google the number, But I actually bothered to do it because I don't want to infringe on her, what's the word? That not privacy, but that private life
Space, personal space,
Yeah,
work-life
by
balance.
WhatsApping when people already say don't WhatsApp me about work, unless it's just unimportant, just casual stuff, then I actually take the trouble to, Google number.
But I
number and
think
call.
it's, in a way, I'm also quite jealous of them that they're able to shut off in that sense.
But that's because they have a 9 to 5 job. But then now, who says we cannot?
Yeah, because we work from home, how come we never set that kind of amount? But I want to say also that on a very, there was one time in my life, actually now sometimes also, I don't open my WhatsApp first thing in the morning.
Okay.
So I will just wake up, I might look at my notification, I can see like 101 messages coming in, but I normally don't check it until I go and brush my teeth, sit down in front of my computer, then I check my WhatsApp. So that could be an hour later.
Okay.
And I find that really helpful.
Okay.
Though I'm struggling at night to just put it aside.
Right.
No, I'm trying to sleep, right? Turn off all the light already. Then ding ding. Okay lah, let's have a look at it. It might be urgent because in our line, most people work midnight hour,
Yeah.
So that became a trend. Okay, anyway, when we come back from the break, let's talk about how texting or verbal communication affect us in communication with our family instead.
Yes.
Family and friends.
And friends.
So if this is the first time that you are intending to write a song or you have written something halfway, you have written lyrics only, no melody, or you have written melody, got no lyrics, then we have something special coming up for you.
Yes, it is the songwriting retreat brought to you by Voxfest Malaysia. Basically, it's going to be away in a very, very nice, refreshing environment called Beacon Resort. And you'll have both of us there to coach you in writing melody, writing lyrics, and just bring you through the whole songwriting process.
One thing I like to say is when you walk away after 3 days, 2 nights, if you actually do your assignment while you're there with us, you can walk away with a song ready for demo recording.
Yes. So look it up. Voxfest Malaysia socials. That's Instagram and Facebook. Okay, so I had this experience, not so recently where there's this person I know, I won't mention names, and there was a point in time where we could text quite, I wouldn't say she's like a close friend.
Okay.
I wouldn't say she's an acquaintance either, but somewhere in between, like
Friends lah.
friend, but not like close lah.
Okay.
And but we could text like jokes, or I could send, oh hey, we just did this, this project, check it out and stuff. And in my brain, there's like you said, it's like friend zone, right? Not friend zone in that sense, but yeah, friend lah. And then one day we were in the same place together, right? And she was sitting next to me. So we were like in a event, sitting next to each other. Suddenly I got nothing to say to her. It's like almost awkward kind of, I don't know, have you experienced that before? It's just awkwardness in the sense of, I don't know what to talk about.
I know. It's like you can type, chat. You call it text chat. And then suddenly when you're in person, no chat.
Yeah. Silence.
Yeah, I think it happens with some people, especially if you're like, let's say it's a too socially very introvert person, then it might happen. But I think if you're like one person who is somewhat a bit more extrovert, then it might not happen. I don't know.
Okay, but the funny thing was, right, both of us are, at least I think would be quite functional extrovert. As in we're
Functional
introverts,
extrovert. I
but
like that.
We can communicate with crowds. We actually, outside, people think we are not introverts. So, but then put both of us together, right?
It just doesn't work.
So actually that got me thinking, actually with my friends, am I a talker or a texter? But I can talk to you now? See, we're talking what?
Well, do you know how long it takes for you to talk to me? Do you remember the first 6 months that we collaborated? I got so frustrated because we spent so much time texting instead of talking.
But
and
what
we have to
happened
text
before?
every single thing from, by the way, the vision is this, what do you think?
Why
The
you never
values
phone?
is this.
Why you
this,
never
this.
pick up phone and call?
Why you never pick up the call?
You go call me?
So I remember the first 6 months of our collaboration, texting was so taxing on me. Because I felt that, especially when the beginning of a project, you need to set the vision, the mission, the brand positioning, how we position.
Yeah.
And all this, can you believe it? Songs and stories, positioning, and the entire concept, how the logo looks like, what it's supposed to sound like, everything, was all done on this WhatsApp.
Wow.
There is no, we didn't even sit down and meet. Oh, by the way, what song and story? No, it was all text. Until our first project series release, the Kinabalu, it was still on the text.
Yeah. If you notice, if you ever saw the video, it starts with text.
Yeah, so it's like, I think until Sandakan series that we finally began to talk a little bit more and meet up a little bit more.
Okay, but what was the reason? Did it just happen that way? I'm sure I didn't tell you, hey, I cannot talk, text only.
I don't know. She just never picked up my call and she was always texting the most serious stuff and paragraphs become paragraph.
Okay, that one got reason. Just now we were talking about
Okay.
Yesterday, was it yesterday? We were just planning next meeting for... Okay, so in this context, we were just planning a next meetup for a project group. So
Okay.
that one very WhatsApp kind of thing, right? It's a very text kind of thing. And then suddenly somebody posted 3 questions. And they were kind of deep questions, right? And I just felt like, how come these questions coming now, right? And I thought, okay, my brain started to answer it lah. And then as I was texting, I was like, this is quite long because I'm typing it on my desktop. That makes it worse because when you're on the desktop,
You type long
you type
letters.
longer. And it was like, what, vision lah, or what lah. So I'm typing, and I'm like,
I'm amused that you
This-
actually type because when I saw the 3 questions, I was like, okay, this is warrants for a meeting. Because it
I'm
needs
getting
to
there,
be
I'm
a
getting there.
discussion.
Okay, sorry, come back to the work part, but never mind.
I tell you, processor, she processing. I
Yeah,
said, shut up now.
as I'm typing, my brain is going, this shouldn't be on WhatsApp. At least I should do an email. But there is no email. There is no email thread. I mean, it was quite weird. Like, dear 1, 2, 3, 4. This is replying the WhatsApp questions that it would have been so weird lah if I type on a Word document. It's like suddenly become so formal, you know. But as I'm typing that, I'm thinking, if we had been in a Zoom meeting, there's no way I would have articulated that the way I did.
I understand what you mean. You needed to type it out before you can talk about it.
But
Or
even
say it
after
out
that,
loud.
I don't know whether I can actually say it out like that or not.
But having said that, right, text is something that is, like I said before, a bit misleading. How you read it and how I read it is different.
Yes, correct.
Just now we're talking about work. Like, for example, there's one of my project partner actually told me that, hey, Gina, this woman said that she wants to join us for a production. Then I said, oh, what she can do? Then she said, but then currently her daughter is sick, so she cannot come. Oh, then what she can do? Then she said, wait for her daughter. Okay, then he come. Then after I said, oh, okay. So what can you do for this daughter, 9-year-old, in the production? Then I said, but your text never mentioned about this 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Then she said, do you know what? She's talking about the 9-year-old to take part. I said, no, you read from the beginning again. She's referring to herself wants to take part.
Yeah,
But
that's
her
what
daughter. But you see, that's how misleading text could be. It depends on how fast you read, number one. Number two, depending when you are reading it, you're reading it in a fast condition, and like you are busy and then you swipe through, or you sat down and read, then you can see the proper context. So there is that high risk of miscommunication in text as well. But I want to say there's also high risk in verbal.
Yes.
Some people, they shout forever even though they're talking.
Yes.
Say, yeah lah, can lah. But actually, that is their way of speaking and then end up like, oh, why are you scolding me? I'm not scolding you, what? Like, but you are shouting. No, I'm not shouting. So verbal communication also has that miscommunication, which I find at the end of the day, communication is just it's a high risk thing. In either way, you always read between the lines because of how you want to interpret certain things. And also it influences the way we, trust each other lah.
True lah, but if you talk about verbal, right, on the phone, like you say, if I just hear your voice, I don't see your face. I don't know whether you're joking or not. Like, case in point, right? Just now you were saying people like joke very, very seriously. You can't see the face, then, what just happened, you know?
Correct.
The other thing is, I think the thing that annoys me about verbal communication is it can drag on forever. But then, actually text also can drag on forever.
Yeah, it's the same thing lah. I find that it depends on the person's personality. So for example, just now you said you need to process. When you go for
Yeah,
meetings,
yeah.
you do need to process before you talk, right? So maybe text might be your preferred communication because you get to think about it first as you type.
Yes.
Yeah, but some people, they cannot process while they're typing. They must talk
Yes,
aloud
yes,
first,
yes.
then only they can process.
Again, as an introvert, extrovert
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
But it's not so much an introvert, extrovert. It's just how we process as a person. I don't think it's much of a personality.
Well, it depends lah, because some people define introvert, extrovert as
Talking and not talking.
internal processing or external processing lah. So yeah.
Yeah. But I do find that sometimes after you type it out, it's like, oh, it's actually different. Or after you say it out to someone else,
Yeah.
oh, it doesn't
Correct,
come out
correct,
that way
correct.
lah.
I suppose there's a space for both lah, and learning when it is time to use the other one. But I like what you do. Sorry, no, going back to work one. Can you see? I communicate more for work.
Nah, she communicate like 10 minutes later. Let's go back to just not that point.
Yes, that's how I communicate. I like what you do about recapping after that.
Oh, it just helps me to remember things because like you say, so many things going
Yeah.
on right now, right? So
Yeah.
it really helps. And the person has a chance to disagree. No, that wasn't what we talked about.
Yes,
So
correct.
at least we're on the same page.
On the same
right
and
at the moment
yes, yes,
after the
yes.
meeting, you know?
Yeah, then you can pick up the phone and go, hey, no me.
Correct. Instead of 3 days later, like, oh, you different thing, then like totally past the vegan already, you know? So I think for work-wise, I would actually prefer that now. Even though I can type the whole thing, sometimes I still call. Because I say, okay, this is the background, and therefore the decision is Okay, understand. Then I put down, I say, okay, so based on what I shared just now, this is the decision. Everybody clear. The other thing about communication, I find Chinese educated people or Chinese people prefer audio memo.
Oh, yes.
And I couldn't understand why. Because audio memo means I cannot listen to your text while I'm in the middle of a meeting or something. Like if I'm with other people, then I cannot reply to you immediately. Right? But my Chinese friends said, do you know it takes so long to type a Chinese word? Yes.
Yeah, because of the character. And
Correct,
then
the pinyin and everything. So they prefer audio, which I find, okay lah, can be good and bad lah. Again, pros and cons lah.
takes up a lot of space, right?
Yeah. So they have these disappearing messages.
Ah.
Now you have this, you
Yes,
can keep.
yes.
If you do, you can pin message. Now you can keep that message.
Yeah.
So I find that very helpful. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, a good balance of verbal and text communication is very important in anybody's life, whether it's work related or family related. Because imagine you just texting your mother, you never call your mother.
That's true.
I mean,
My
it's
mother
still
won't,
good. What?
I cannot text my mother because she don't read. She don't
It's
have
still
text.
good. Maybe you should start writing some love letters. Changes things a little
She
bit.
doesn't like reading. But talking about mother, okay, so this is when the call or texting becomes very contentious in my house, right? So let's say she wants to know whether we're having lunch together.
Okay.
Or we are having lunch, you and I are having lunch together, or I'm having lunch with her at home together. So she would say something like, call and ask lah. But I'd be like, call is so intrusive. Text and ask lah. Then
Yeah.
people can plan first ma. People can plan and decide, oh, yeah let me firm up and then I answer you. If I call, right, then you also don't know your answer. Then you're like, oh, I'll get back to
Yes
you.
and no lah. Actually, now that you remind me, right, the older generation like call. They don't like text.
Yeah, they think it's immediate.
Because that's how they were brought up lah.
That's true, but that's how I was brought up also.
I don't know. But I find that, yes, the older one prefer calling.
For sure.
And instead of like, hi, hey, let's go eat now. And stuff like that. Like my father, if he ever texts, there's only 3 texts. Like a template.
Oh,
Smiley, thumbs up, okay. Sometimes this 3
yeah.
does not even answer the question.
otherwise he will call, is it?
No, he will just thumbs up.
No, if he wants to
smiley.
ask you something, he will ask lah. He will phone lah.
He will phone. But if you text him, he's just going to send you a thumbs up, smiley, okay. And then me and my sister went, okay means what? It means the question is not a yes, no, It's like, should we go? Or something like that. That the yes and no or the okay answer does not answer the question. And we were like, okay means what?
Yeah, because there's 1, 2 or 3
Correct.
options.
So we ask the question, he says, okay. And then we say, okay means what? Then he will send a smiley, then means what? But yeah, communication lah.
But that's my question lah. Why is it that, do you feel phone calls are intrusive?
Not all the time lah.
Okay.
So for example, like if I'm a meeting or whatever, I really don't look at it. So I have a valid reason not to answer. Okay. But if I'm not in a meeting and I'm doing work halfway, let's say I'm really into the zone, then I look at it, then I don't answer lor. because I'm into the zone. But if I'm working, I'm halfway, semi in my zone, not quite, I think that I can take the call, then I take the call.
Okay, so you don't feel like it's rude to not answer?
Sorry, it's up to me, what? My
Yeah.
decision. Like, if you call someone and you cannot say to the person, hey, so rude, I cannot get through.
Yeah, that's true.
So I never felt that way before. I just felt that it's my decision to pick up the call whenever I want. So for example, my mom will sometimes call me. And then if I'm in the middle of editing a vlog or something like that, I might not answer because I'm listening to the rhythm. And I was like, okay, I can pick up this. I just want to finish these 5 bars or 4 bars of the song,
correct,
right?
correct.
So I won't pick up. And then I might call her after I finish the 4 bar,
Yeah.
which is 10 minutes later or something. I said, yeah, what's up? Just now I was like, don't know, in the toilet or something like that. Or if it's urgent, then she will text. Passing by your house now, are you home? Then I can see the text coming in. I think that's the good thing about having two screens at home now.
Yeah.
There's a working screen and there's one that is just quick glance of things that's happening.
Yeah.
That really allows that communication
Yeah,
to be
I think
smoother
for
lah.
me, right, I always think like, okay, if they call and it's important, urgent, if I miss it, then they would text. At least I would know what it's about. And if they
Correct.
don't, then it's not important lah. But then there'll be people who say, but you never answer your calls one.
So I think it depends on how well you know the person as well.
Yeah.
Like for example, I know you well enough to know that certain things have to text. Certain things is like, I'll talk to you later when we meet because I don't want to text.
Yeah.
You know, and then after that, making sure that we make appointment to meet lah.
Yeah lah.
So let us know if you are a verbal person or a text person when it comes to communication, and why do you prefer that certain type of communicating style.
Jom Sembang Malaysia is hosted by 2 Malaysians who are passionate about Malaysian stuff.
Stay tuned every week for a brand new Sembang session with Cerita Suito and Gina Yap Layung.
Today's episode is recorded at Studio 2105.
Remember to click like and subscribe for the brand new episode next week.